Hello friends, this is Sagar Sarangi, one of trainer for 2 weeks training program and construction technology by the Skyy Institute in associate with the Ultratech Cement and the Gamtarang. Introducing myself, after completing my BTech and ME in civil engineering and the experience from the construction side to fill a bridge between the classroom learning and the construction site, I compiled a handbook in the name of construction technology and the practice by the Education Publishing House for the diploma, BTech, and the professionals. Let me share my screen to know about the objective of this training program and the basic component of the bridge and the building and the course structure.
Here, we'll discuss the basic objective of this training program to get the idea about the construction technology and bridge the gap between the field work and the classroom teaching. And a practical session on the real life project work from the site and get some ideas about how we can effectively complete a project work as we are working in the construction site. Then before going, we should know about the buildings. Buildings generally divided into 5 categories. One is a residential building where we live. There's a house. The second is the commercial building. Is another the educational institute, the school, college, malls, assemblies. These are commercial house, industrial house. Industrial buildings are those buildings which are the industries like construction builds in the ready mix plant is one of the industry buildings. The storage building is the house where we store all the materials, whatever is the warehouse. The hazardous buildings are those type of buildings where the hazardous materials like chemicals are stored for further use. The component of buildings is the sections of a building structure. For easily understood, let's compare the building structure with a human body. The foundations is the bottom part of a building structure where all the loads of the structure are transferred to the ground surface. Then the plinth. Plinth is the middle portions which gives a reference line to know what is the substructure and what is the superstructure. Superstructure is those structure which is above the plinth level, and the substructure are below the plinth level. In the load bearing walls, those walls which carries the load and transfer the whole structure load from uh, the walls roofs to the ground surface. Non-load bearing walls are those walls that didn't carry the load and that don't enable and they are known as the partition walls. The columns, which is the pillar of the structure. Then the door, windows, staircase. Somehow the foundations. In foundations, there is a component known as the footing. Similarly, in the human body, the footing is the foot who sustain all the loads of our body. Then in the footing is the connected of the two legs. The legs are known as we can say that legs are one type of a column where the bones are called the reinforcement bar and the muscles are combined. The reinforcement is known as the concrete, which gives the complete structure of the column. In the one leg is one type of one column, and the second and another leg is the another column. And the two columns combined is there with a beam. That's called as the plinth beam. And similarly, in the above the structure, above the plinth, the wall will construct. And the same case the whole body structure. This portion is known as the, we can say that this is the wall or the brick masonry. And after the brickworks, the beam is constructed to connect the different types of different walls within the structure. Similarly, this beam act as the hand act as the beam. It may be a cantilever beam or maybe a lintel. And after that, the neck portions is also called as the brickworks to till the roof. Then the head is in the staircase. The above the staircase, the roof structure is also called as the headroom. And similarly, from the top to bottom of a human being is very much similar to the building structure. Now comes to the finishing part. In the body of a human being, the water will be supplied through the blood vessels. Is similarly in house, we supply we were wearing the water line within the plasters, the concealed wiring, and both the electrification and the water supply. And then we cover with the plaster. Similarly, the bones, muscles, vessels, all are covered with the skin. The outer surface of a human body is similar to the outer surface of the home. Then for protecting the house from the weather, we use some paint. Similarly, in this way, just like different weather changes in rainy or winter, we wear different colors of clothes to protect our body. Similarly, we paint the wall of a house as per our requirement in different colors in an attractive way. Then the component of a bridge. Both the component in case of bridge or in case house, both are different. As in the building, it's a composite or complex structure, whereas in case of bridge, there is less number of the component. One is the wing wall, which is act as a retaining wall to retain the soil surface. The abutment is known as the embankment. Then the total load of a deck slab or a slab will be transferred through the pier, then pier to the pile, then pile to the ground surface. Pile is one type of column. And by connecting the two pile, there is a connecting beam. This is called as the pier cap. And similarly, in case of bridges constructed over the rivers, where the soil is in sand, which is having less bearing capacity as compared to the soil. In that case, the foundation will be generally constructed by the well foundation, where in case of the well foundations, there is the bottom is the cutting edge, which entered to the inside the sand, and again in the center part, the sand will be extracted by using the different machineries, and after achieving the hard strata, again we fill the sand so that the outer pressure and the inner pressure will be in equilibrium conditions. And in the pile, there is the top portion, there is the bearing cap is known as the pile cap. Then the construction of the pier in this structure. Above the end of the head of the pier is called as the pier cap, where the deck slab or the bridge of the bridge where the bikes are moving will be rest on the pier cap. And this up to the pier, this section is known as the soft structure, whereas this structure is known as the foundations. Generally, the pile cap will be laid out under the ground surface. And in the in where the deck slab and they transfer the load by using some longitudinal pipe girder. This is called as this is constructed by using the precast concrete, and this is the bearing. The different type of bearing produced manufactured by the different organizations based on our requirement and the durability purpose and the quality of the bearing. The general bearing will be selected for the construction work. Here the bearing is act as a joint like roller support or pin support. Here the bearing it is a roller support to the girder, and above the girder, connecting the girder, the slab is called as the deck slab. And above the deck slab, there is a wiring cord is provided for the protections of the deck slab and for the smoothing while we're riding over a bridge. Now, what is the difference between the load bearing building and the frame structure? Frame structure are multi-storied, whereas the load bearing are around 2 to 3 stories building, where all the load of the house are transferred by the wall, where wall having ability to wall is transferred the load, whereas in the RCC frame, all the loads from the floor from the roof to the beam, then beam to the column, and column to the foundations. That's what is the difference. We'll check. In load bearing structure, it is less in cost, where the negligible amount of the column or beam will be constructed in the load bearing structure, which is less cost. Whereas in the frame structure, large number of beams and column were constructed, which is high cost. And depends of the safety, the load bearing structure load bearing wall structure can be constructed up to 3 stories, whereas the RCC frame structure can be constructed in multi stories. As the load in case of load bearing structure, wall thickness is much thicker as compared to the RCC frame structure. That's why the parapet area or the carpet area will be lesser in case of load bearing structure and much more in case of RCC frame structure. As it takes time, means where we cast the concreting in a frame, then we remold it again. We cast, then we proceed for the wall masonry works. Then after in step by step, the load bearing structure takes much more time, which is a slower construction process. But in the RCC frame, as the wall constructions or the brick masonry works, which takes longer periods, will be constructed after the skeleton is ready for the whole structure, which is the speedy construction process. In case of the earthquake force or the seismic force in load bearing structure having overestimated to resist the earthquake or seismic force, whereas in the frame structure we can resist the earthquake by adopting various new technology. In the construction process, starting from the layout of the foundations, here the footing is ready, then the column where the reinforcement, as per previously the 12 mm reinforcement is generally used, but after the modification by the building code, the minimum reinforcement for the column should be provided 16 mm bar. Here the concrete was poured by the pumping for the roof cast. Generally, we can use we can use the ready mix concrete for the achieving the workability and the quality of the concrete at the end of the user or in construction site. Where the construction process, different persons are engaged for different works, where we can identify by their cap color. In the yellow cap is generally whereby the mason or the workers, whereas the blue color or the green color cap whereby the persons who is the in charge of the safety of that construction site, whereas the white cap wearing by the engineer or the supervisor who supervise the construction works, which is the in charge of that work, that particular project works. These are called as the scaffolding or for the easy later for the easy method of the transport of the manpower, material. Then this course contains the introductions of the various engineering structures, just like the buildings and the bridges, and the fundamentals about the construction technology. Construction technology is a part of the civil engineering. By adapting various methods, we can construct a works or construct a project works or complete a project work within the stipulated time period. And preparatory of the work and implementation, what is the step-by-step method which are generally applicable in the construction site, and testing methods on the construction material or the building material as per Indian standard total provisions, to know what is the quality of the materials. Without knowing the adopting the best materials, we can't achieve the durability of the structure. Earthwork. In earthwork, what is the different type of the soil parameters, how the foundation will generally constructed by using the man-made or by using the masonry works, the concrete and the concreting. As concrete is the second largest consumption material after water in the construction field, in which way the concrete will be prepared, what is the basic properties, how we can achieve the good workability in the construction field. In the masonry of the construction work, that is one of the wall masonry work, and the plumbing, the supply of the how we can decide in which direction, in which way we supply our water supply line and the electrifications from the house to the outer surface, outer area of the house. In the maintenance also one of the important parameters, important after completion of the project works, due to some changes by the weather, by the calamity, we have to maintain our structure to sustain further longer durability. By using different technology or different methods, we can remodel our older structures. And as a site engineer, we should know about the how you have able to read what is the drawing plan, which is going to based on the drawing plan, the structure will be stand, and what is the quantity of the materials that are going to be consumed for a house, what is the actual cost or the approximate cost will be required for completion of the project work. And based on the field, will be good in practice on a small house, where we know where we calculate the quantity of the estimate. Then by using the labor rate, material rate, as for government of Odisha, we can easily calculate the approximate cost of a house and discuss about the new technology which invented by the different agencies for the achieving the effective and smart works in the project. Thank you.